Roster spots were on the line in the preseason finale against the Buffalo Bills. Did Will Howard do enough to be that fourth quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We're going to break down his film and so much more. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Without further ado, let's get into it. So first, we're going to start off with the first drawback for Will Howard, and ended up being a sack. Let's see what happened and what's going on. This is the first quarter, 9 minutes and 28 seconds to go. First down and 10. Now, a lot of pressure for the young quarterbacks against the Buffalo Bills. And in this play here, it's kind of what happened last week on one of the sacks. It was a delayed blitz. The offensive lineman just not getting their head on a swivel, and then the quarterback goes down. So let's kind of bring that back and explain what we have going on here. And we're going to slow this down a little bit. And what's going to happen is number 49 right here, what he's going to do is he's going to do just a delayed blitz. And he's going to wait here. 62 is going to keep his eyes to the side and just allow this pressure up the middle. We saw this last week in the last preseason game as well. So Steelers kind of need to get better at this. Now let's look at it from the sideline view. See if Will Howard had anything down the field open for him. Let me know in the comment section. Do you guys think that the Steelers should keep 4 quarterbacks, or should they only go with 3? And when McCarthy says that he's going to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster, he often mentions 68, which is a confusing number because that's not, when you add your 53 plus your 16 from your practice squad, it doesn't get to 68, but he talks about the 68. And what I think he's referring to is his practice squad. Does he consider keeping Will Howard on the practice squad means to him that he's on the roster and is available for development? I think so. I think it's kind of tough to develop 2 young quarterbacks, 3 and 4 in a season. I think it's tough to develop 1 in a season, much less 2. So, but that's where we're at right now. We'll see if McCarthy actually does it. But here's where Will is at the bottom or the top of his drop. And who is open here? Maybe you can have your fullback right here or your tight end, Nowakowski, coming open down this direction, but you have to be able to laser that in because he's right on his hip and he can undercut that. Everybody else seems to be covered. Good defense by the Buffalo Bills. Good delayed blitz. Not much that Will could have done in that situation. Now, this is the touchdown play after the muffed punt. And this is, in my opinion, just all Jeremy Bernard. Howard drops back, throws the ball, immediately turns and gets the ball out to Jeremy. And he does the rest. Breaks a tackle. Boom. Good play design, good ability by the receiver. I'm really liking what Jeremy Bernard's going to be bringing to this team. I know that Roman Wilson didn't suit up, and he's had quite a bit of an up and down preseason thus far, and I think Jeremy Bernard has taken advantage of that. And I would, at this point, prefer to see number 17 out there over number 14 on Sundays for wide receiver 3, at least for the majority of the snaps. What do you guys think? Where are you guys on that? Who would you rather see? And on this play here, I really like the progressions from Will Howard on this play. I thought he did fairly well with his progressions and his decision-making. I think that, where he lacks is going to be the arm strength. But as you can see, nobody's open at the top of his drop. Everybody's covered, and he's going to transition through all of the players or all the receivers. Doesn't see anybody, and then dumps it down to the running back who's able to do something with it. Check that out. Get a first down. Now, this comes after another muffed punt or a botched punt from the punter for the Buffalo Bills, and this ended up being, I think, starting out at the 28-yard line. So this is a couple of run plays later. But again, just check out the way Will Howard goes through his reads. This could be a reason why they want to keep him. They see, something that they can work with. Is his arm good enough? That's yet to be seen. It's warm out there. I like to see what he's doing when it's colder and windy. Now let's look at what the offensive line did. And check out the lineup. So we had Jennings Dunker, who started it out, right guard. Broderick Jones was the right tackle. Dylan Cook is your left tackle here. I think that says something. I think that Dylan Cook lost his right tackle starting job. You have Broderick Jones starting today for this game. Ihanachor, which we're going to break down some film on Ihanachor probably tomorrow or the next day. I think that he's pushing for a starting role because of how poorly these 2 guys have played. But Dylan Cook isn't even starting out there for this game, and he's out there participating and playing on the left side. So I think that says something. So this is an interesting development that we'll be watching. I wonder come week 1 if Dylan Cook isn't going to be out there. Maybe he's your swing tackle. But let's see how they did. The offensive line protected well. Broderick Jones Even Dylan Cook, there's a clean pocket there for the young quarterback. Overall, a good play. And here's the touchdown play from Will Howard. And, you know, to me, I think this is all just design. It's a run pass option. Throws it to McCree. He gets into the end zone. Now, what I like about this play is that there's so much you can do with it, right? You can hand the ball off here as Will Howard fakes. Will Howard can run with the ball. So let's just say this was a designed run. You could have this receiver block that guy. Bernard end up blocking, have the tight end kick out, take this guy, and man, this is wide open for Will Howard to run into. And if, let's just say, this guy here crashes down on the tight end, well, you'll have somebody open, you know, for Will Howard to throw the ball to. But overall, this one was an excellent play design. I like what the Steelers doing with this one, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this in a 2-minute drill type of situation, depending on who the quarterback is. You know, if it's Aaron Rodgers, the running part is probably not going to be by design. And this was one of my favorite plays by Will Howard. What's going to end up happening is these guys here on the defense are going to drop into a zone. Will Howard's going to recognize that. And you're going to have Jerry Bernard kind of come down this direction. You're going to have Earlman come up and do a post, and he's going to hit him in the zone. I like the progression. I like the decision. I like the throw. I think that the difference between Will Howard and Drew Aller is that Drew probably gets the ball there a little bit quicker. And so Herman doesn't have to slow down for this as much, and maybe perhaps there's an opportunity there for, you know, advancing the ball up the field. But with what Will has here, you can't ask him to do any better than this. Like I said, I think that he wouldn't have to slow down so much if Will could get the ball there a little quicker. Right now, we're just kind of being a little bit nitpicky on it. I like this play. I think it's one of my favorite plays. It's also 3rd down and 10. So you got to have it here. You get the first down. And now we go from one of the best plays, I think, for Will Howard to our worst plays for the offense in general, and this is the interception. Now, Will Howard's going to change something here at the line of scrimmage. He's pointing down, saying something to this receiver. He's looking at him. I just think that the message wasn't relayed correctly. What's going to end up happening is this receiver is going to go up and then out towards the sideline. I think, my opinion is, I think that Will's going to want him to kind of sit in the zone. I know some people are saying that he was supposed to cut inward, and that had he done, there could have been a huge collision with this safety here. And I do agree that if that was the case, but where the ball goes, I think he wanted him to sit in the zone, which would have been a good read and a good throw right in front of the safety if they were on the same page. So Will has already let the ball go. Now, if he turns this direction towards the sideline, you have this defensive back here. You have the safety here. Good luck. If he cuts inward, yeah, you have this guy here. But look at where the ball goes. The ball's out of his hands. Ball's right here, right in the opening of the zone. So I think that the tight end was supposed to sit right here. And if he does, that would have been a completion for a huge gain, and this would have been one of Will Howard's better throws. So obvious miscommunication. Now let's take a look at the sacks that Will Howard took, the other two, and where maybe perhaps he got his concussion at. So this is the second sack. We already saw the first one, which was on the first drop back. And let's see if anybody was open at the top of the drop. You know, in the direction that he's looking at, everybody seems to be covered. I mean, across the board, I don't see anybody on the field that is open at this point. Leaves a pocket. It is a clean pocket. However, your internal clock there as a quarterback is going to tell you you got to get out of there. Now, you might have Hurlman up here coming this direction. That's probably your best bet. Will just doesn't have the arm to get it there. You know, and if you don't have the arm to get it there, that distance, you know, one of these safeties or defensive backs are going to be able to undercut it. He probably should have thrown the ball away at this point. But here's what the offense, and this is Maxi Honachor. Now we're seeing Maxi, and this is his first series as right tackle. And I thought overall he did good. I know the next sack that we're going to look at is his fault, but overall I thought he did well. I know there was a holding penalty on him, and we're going to break down some more of Max's film on the next one. Overall, I thought he did a really excellent job. I would start him. You guys let me know what you guys would do, but I would start him. So they give Will time. And on this one is completely on Maxi Honachor. He's right here on the right, number 71. just doesn't get his hands up right, and allows the rusher to go around him, and Will takes a big hit. So if Max would have held on to this block, was there something that Will could have done? They have number 87 open in the middle of the field. This is 2nd down and 4. I think this is a 1st down if he has the opportunity to go through his progressions and find number 87 running across the middle of the field. And here's the last play for Will Howard of the night. 3rd down. He takes another hit. And this time he's really slow to get up. Let's watch it from the end zone view. Ooh, yeah, he slammed his head up against the ground right there. All right, let's watch that in slow motion. And I think this is actually where after going through these, I think this is actually where the hit comes in that causes Will to have the concussion. Yeah, just slams him on the ground. It took a lot of hits up to that point, and as you can see, he's down for a while. I'll watch it from the end zone view, and you can see how long it took for Will to get up after this hit. So overall, I thought that Will Howard had an okay night. I think that the film was probably better than what, the stats and/or what we saw live game, which had a zoomed in view on things. And once you broke it down, you saw his decision making, his progression, who was open, how poorly the offensive line did. I think that this wouldn't be a fair evaluation with him. How can you fairly evaluate him or Drew Aller with some of the players that they had around him? Drew Aller had even worse players around him, either against this game and also in the previous week. I would like to see these guys with better players around them and better going up against better competition to see what they really have. Because at the end of the day, there's a question that you do need to answer. You need to answer, are one of these guys good enough to make you not want to pick a quarterback in the draft early next year? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.